Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the HPC KEP-16-95. This is what's called a key keeper, is what it is. Key keepers are not unusual, and typically when you see a key keeper, it's going to be connected to a multi-gang mailbox, is really what it is, so that the postal carrier can be able to open up the multi-gang unit and tip it forward and then fill the mail into each unit, like you'd see in a 3-flat or a 6-flat apartment building type thing. This type of unit is going to be seen more so, according to HPC, in a deployment of commercial vehicles where you have the need to have access to a key on either the exterior of the vehicle or the interior of the vehicle, etc. So let's take some basic dimensional properties and we'll talk more about what this is. Overall height, including the cover, it's about 3 11/16. The overall width, including the hinge, is about 3 1/2. The overall depth is about 1 9/16 or so. Let's open up the cover. A couple of keys are included, and we're going to talk at length about what these keys are. Got a cam lock there. Now, what I would like to provide you is the inside dimensions of the unit itself. Overall height looks like it's about 3 7/6 or 3 3/8. Overall width looks like it's closer to about 3 1/8. Depth about 1 7/16. Now, this cam, since we're taking dimensions, I want to give you dimensions on the cam. Might be a little difficult to do it on camera. The length of the cam looks like it's about 1 1/4. Okay, the offset looks like it's about 1/4 inch. No, it's more than that. It's about 5/16 is the offset from the face of the cam here to the face of the cam here, so about 5/16 offset. Then the length of that bent component looks like it's roughly 9/16. This is going to include 3 sheet metal screws. They appear to be, I'd say, number 10 by 3/4 inch. All right, let's talk about specifically where you're going to use this KEP-16-95. Let's do that now. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Okay, let's take a little deeper dive at what this is. So, when you order the KEP-16-95, and by the way, that's a specific key number, and I'll show you that in the catalog, but when you order that part number, you're going to get not only the 3395 indirect code that's on that key, but you're going to get the tubular key. This is what's called a tubular key. This is different from other types of keys, obviously, in the sense that it looks different. And if you're familiar with a tubular key, well, then you probably are familiar with it. If you're not familiar with it, where you may have seen such a lock would be perhaps in a vending machine, the front of a vending machine, or also coin-operated laundry facilities can have tubular keys. The reason that this tubular key might be advantageous to what you want to do is that it's obviously less easy to duplicate at the random mega home improvement store. So probably not going to get it easily duplicated. Locksmiths, by definition of the term, would be able to duplicate a tubular key, but it's going to prove to be something that you'll have to exert effort to do. There's not anything necessarily unusual about this key versus this key. This is a more common looking key, even though it might look different than the ones on your key ring. But what it will certainly share in common are cuts on a blade. Okay, the depth of those cuts relate to the length of the pin segments that are in the chambers. Tubular keys are no different in the sense that you'll notice there are gold areas around the tip of it. You'll notice that those gold areas are different in length. How deeply those are cut is a direct relationship to the length of the pins that are inside of this cylinder. And tubular keys can also be in cam locks, which is what this is. This is just called a cam lock. They will serve in these areas as well. And it's not conceptually difficult to duplicate these, but you do need the blank. There are different blanks. You do need the tool to cut it, and there's a specialty tool for cutting tubular keys. These keys have a nib on it, and that is what allows it to enter the preparation in the cylinder plug correctly. You'll see that little prep right there. That's where the nib goes into. Without that, you wouldn't have the key positioned in the 0 position correctly, so it wouldn't work, because the pins that are around the circumference inside the cylinder, which made up to the circumference of the tube on the tubular key, need to all work. So this is a good key to have in the sense that it's not security or high security necessarily. It's certainly not high security, but you're not going to just so randomly or easily copy this. This is also going to come with 3 sheet metal screws. My guess is that they're a number 10 and that they're 3/4 inch in length. Now this is a lock that's going to be used very commonly installed in the exterior application of a vehicle. When we sell these, we'll generally sell them 36 at a time to someone who runs some sort of commercial trucking business. And what happens is this will be installed in a inconspicuous location on the exterior. You've got this key that will allow you to get inside the lockbox, which may allow you to get the door key for the truck, and then maybe on the inside of the cab there's another one of these locks with a different key whatever it might be to get to the ignition key. The cylinders are going to have these what are called dust covers, spring-loaded dust covers, and they're just to serve to keep particulate out of the relationship between the plug and the cylinder housing that are here. Hammered, sort of textured enamel finish. It's going to be made of steel, okay, but it is very corrosion resistant as a result of the finish that's here. People that are going to use it want to be able to get access to give access via these keys to another key or something that would be inside of here. I could envision that you might keep something important to someone who's reporting to work going straight to the truck. Here's how you get your key, your instructions, whatever it might be. It's a key keeper is what this is. And explaining earlier about key keepers, mailman, there's a key keeper next to the multi-gang mailbox. The mailman takes his key, puts it into the key keeper, opens it up, takes the key out. That will then allow them to tip out to the multi-gang box to fill all the different apartments worth of mail. Close up, lock, key goes back in the key keeper. Key keeper is then locked with the postal man's key. In this scenario, this would be the postal carrier's key. Let's switch to the screen view and we'll take a closer look at the supporting information of the HPC KEP-16-95.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
Okay, here is the KEP-16-95 truck key keeper tubular. Extended description is here. Perfect for trucking firms and commercial truck fleets. The box is made out of heavy gauge steel with a charcoal gray baked enamel finish. Welded hinge to prevent knockout, meaning, to break this open, you're really going to have to take a cold chisel and a mallet to it because the hinge is welded. It's a continuous piano-style hinge. Keeps keys secure within a truck, as well as helps eliminate loss of ignition keys for large fleets. Small bank vault type of application. Mounts under the hood, onto the inside fender or body wall. 3 screws included. 7-pin tubular lock and an economical 5 wafer cam lock. Both have dust cover. I'll show you how the part numbers differ. And that's what they're talking about. Let's look at some images that we have. There's the label. Again, this part number literally conspires to mean 3395. That's important. I'll explain it in a moment. Everything in the box, the lock, or the box itself, showing you how the dust cover folds back. The inside of the box, the cam lock, the offset cam. Let's look at 4 more images that we have. The inside of the box itself, the cam lock. It's important to know, it may not be obvious, but this is what's called key retaining, meaning because of the nib that's on the key, you really can't see it. Because of the nib that's on the key, you can't remove the key in anything other than the locked position. So it's key retaining in the sense that well, you know what, that's not true. You can remove the key and leave the door open. Yeah, I take all that back. You can just leave the door open and remove the key. The cam lock is key retaining, but the box can be left in the unlocked position. So be mindful of that. Okay, the other images we were looking at. There's the accessories, your keys. You can see how the depth of those cuts vary. The 3 sheet metal screws, how the key installed into the cylinder. There's a link below this video as seen here to the manufacturer's page. And from here, you can pull up not only all of the HPC products we sell by means of this horizontal navigation as seen here, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the product catalog. And let's hop into the product catalog. And if you know the name HPC at all, you do likely because of their locksmithing tools, which specifically would be their Blitz machine, their key originating machine, which looks like this. That's a Blitz machine. This is a machine that allows you to move the carriage along an X and a Y axis based on a code card principle, where you have code cards with different cutters, different jaw sets that will allow you to cut, or originate would be the proper term, keys from many dozen different platforms of manufacturers. Arrow, Best, Medico, Kwikset, Schlage, Automotive, on and on and on and on and on. If they've got a code card, they're going to have a jaw set and a cutter for it as well. And this will allow you to originate those keys. So what you end up doing with this machine is you'll originate an original based off of the code, and then you'll use a duplicator to cut the rest of the keys, which would be... That's a punch machine. It's an originator, but you would use a duplicator like this to then copy or cut copies of the key. You wouldn't want to cut many copies on the originator, the Blitz machine, because of the variation that will be inherent when you're using the wheels. Now, the first 2/3 of the catalog is all locksmithing tools. The last 20 or 25% is where you get into security hardware, and that key keeper, I happen to know, is really near the end of the catalog. And here it is, key keepers. And you'll see here, they can do tubular locks, which are these 3 part numbers. The 81, 95, and 96, that's the last 2 digits in the indirect code of the key number. So if you've got some that are 3395, well, make sure you order a 16-95 if you want the new boxes, or the key keepers, keyed alike. If you specifically want them keyed different, order one of the other 2 part numbers. If it doesn't matter, pick one. It doesn't matter. If you want a lower... if you don't have a need for a tubular key and you want something that's a bit more common, you go with a 5-wafer cam lock. I wouldn't recommend it, only because while I have lots of exposure to the locksmithing world, I could never pick this open, but this cylinder I'm pretty sure I could pick open. So I would opt for something that would be a bit more resistant to manipulation, like the tubular keys. And this cut sheet is also linked down below. This catalog is really handy because it will allow you to go through all of the hardware from HPC, whose name is synonymous with not only locksmithing tools, but security hardware as well. Let's wrap up this video on camera.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
Now, in conclusion, if you have any questions on the HPC 16-95 Keykeeper or any other HPC product, please feel free to reach out to us. The name HPC is not only synonymous with the concepts or items that I just mentioned, but also really good customer service, really good technical support, and that is absolutely something typical in the locksmithing industry, where you will have experts at the other end of the line, and HPC is no exception. It would be true to say that there are times when I need to request that information more than once, but I can say that 100% of the time I get an answer that is thorough, that is expert, drawing on their decades of experience, and to them, for that, I say thank you. Very good quality product, very good quality people. Every lock shop is going to own something from HPC for sure, probably the Blitz machine, and then every once in a while one of their punch machines. I've never owned their duplicator, but my Blitz machine is about 20 feet back that way, which is a very necessary tool. It's not the only tool that will originate keys. Fromen has one. Ilco had one as well that are still out there. Obviously, key machines that originate could be punch machines, whether by ProLock or by Best, their combinator, whatever. But the name HPC is a cornerstone of the locksmithing industry. Any questions on this or anything else that is HPC related, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.